Good morning and welcome to Vibrant Morning here in BTV. Vibrant Morning brings you what is in the People Daily newspaper, and we are so much privileged to once again this Friday tell you welcome and be with us. Remember, you can subscribe to Vibrant Morning. You can subscribe to BTV Kenya, your home live TV. Just visit our Facebook page, that is Blackman TV, and also you can leave a comment so that we know where we are reaching you from. If you are following on YouTube, visit BTV Kenya and also reach out to us so that we get to know where you are reaching us from. Just go to BTV page that is on YouTube, and you can be assured that we will give you the best and sample your requests and comments. Now, thank you so much. Once again, I'm your host, Gagi Isaiah, brings you live what is in the People Daily newspaper. Without much wasting of time, let us jump on to what is in the People Daily newspaper. Now, looking on to the cover page of People Daily newspaper, we see how Ruto built abduction squad. That is the story on the cover page. Now, it is alleged that after disbanding Special Service Unit, President William Ruto established a lethal team drawn from police, DCI, and military to crack down on the center's claims human right crusader. Now, that story is on page 4 of the People Daily newspaper. On the same time, we see fatten our packs, and greedy MPs now tells new pay team which were appointed. That is on page 5 of the People Daily newspaper. As also we see there on same page 5, Kupet rubbishes grade 9 roll out. You can also check that and read more. You can check on that and read much of it. Now, let us jump onto page 2 to see what's happening. SHA system restored after failure sparks wild outrage. Now, you remember a day before yesterday, Baraza was, during the time that CS was holding a briefing, patients from KNH stormed her office. And now we see Health CS Mulongo makes visit to National Referral Facility, reassures public of full resumption of work. So if at all you are registered for SHA, you can be assured that SHA is working on well. Now, that's a story by George Kibaso. A social health authority SHA system outage at Kenyatta National Hospital that attracted national uproar on Wednesday has been restored. Health Cabinet Secretary Deborah Baraza has confirmed. Now, that story is on page 2. Grab a copy and read more and more. And also we move. MPs approves appointment of 4 new envoys. A story by Rollins Otieno. Now, National Assembly has approved appointment of 4 persons to various diplomatic offices. Yesterday, the House approved the appointment of Dr. Andrew Kanja as the new ambassador to Brazil, Ababu Namwamba as a permanent representative of Kenya to the United Nations Environment Program officer in Nairobi, Noor Yowor Gabol, the Consul General on Port-au-Prince in Haiti. Now, you can also grab that copy, story by Rollins Otieno, and read that story. On the same page, we see Pope names Bishop for Meru Diocese. Now, Pope Francis has appointed Father Jackson Muraga of Consolate Missionaries, the coadjutor Bishop of Meru Diocese. You can grab a copy and read that story. Is by People Daily reporter. Abduction squad. You can also read that story. It states, according to the report by the global watchdog body, human rights drastically worsened in Kenya last year. Story by Samuel Karaoke. Now, details have emerged of how President William Ruto recreated a multi-layered security unit which is currently being deployed to abduct vocal critics of his government. Now you can also grab a copy of People Daily newspaper and read much of that story more comprehensively. It is the story is on page 4. We see a petition seeking Kindiki removal sent to Chief Justice Kome. Now that story by Caroline Kubwa. A petition challenging the appointment of Deputy President Kithure Kindiki has been referred to Chief Justice Martha Koome to constitute a bench to hear the matter. You can also grab a copy and read much of that story is in page 4. As we move on to page 5, lawmakers approve SRC nominees. We see that story. Parliamentarians warn new team against playing to gallery and political antics. A story by Rollins Otieno. Parliament yesterday approved nominees to the Salaries and Remuneration Commission SRC with a call on them to spare their salaries. Please grab a copy of People Daily newspaper and read much of that story. We move with speed to page 6 of the People Daily newspaper, where we see Teachers Union raises concern over transition to junior secondary school. The story is on page 6. Kupet says the process towards full realization has been corrupted by numerous problems. Story by Alvin Smwangi. Teachers Union has poured cold water on the rollout of grade 9, saying that the implementation of junior secondary school has been terribly corrupted and plagued by numerous problems and should be discontinued. Now, Kupet want junior secondary school to be discontinued. You can check on that, read more comprehensively the stories on page 6. And also we see on the same page 6, we see a story, nominated Senator Oruba suspended for 6 months. Looking into this, a story by Rollins Otieno. Nominated Senator Gloria Oruba will be suspended from the House for 6 months for breach of powers and privileges accorded to the lawmaker. High Court yesterday dismissed petition by Oruba seeking to bar the senators from suspending her from a house business for 6 months. You can grab a copy and read of how Oruba is suspended and the reason behind her suspension. We move to page 7, where we see Parliament approves Public Service Commission nominees. A story by Mary Kimonye. National Assembly yesterday approved the name of 7 individuals to serve in the Public Service Commission, PSC. You can also check on that story and read more comprehensively. As good news to the Chinese ambassador to Kenya promises support for the SGR, standard gauge railway. Now, Envoy Guo Haiyan says her country will ensure that Kenya fully benefits from her nation's Belt Road Initiative. Story from PCSPS. Now, the new Chinese ambassador to Kenya, Guo Haiyan, has promised to lobby for financial support for the extension of standard gauge railway from Naivasha to Malaba. Now, that's also a story I believe you can check and read more comprehensively of that story. We move to page 8 of the People Daily newspaper, where we see State seeks to hold officer who joined Gen Z's protest. Remember, during the Gen Z's protest, now Cop Sakar is being detained as the police seek more of the information. Story by Alphonse Mangau. Police are seeking 21 more days to continue detaining prisons officer Jackson Kirui Kihara, popularly known as Cop Shakur. who hit the national headlines for joining anti-government protest in 2004. You can also check much of that story. They argue it is in order to complete investigation into allegations of making, inciting, and maternous publication. You can also check on that. Now that is on page 8 of the People Daily newspaper. As we see, family accuses hospital of withholding relative's body. Now that is on page 6. Also story by Joseph Madhenge and People Daily. Metropolitan Hospital in Nairobi is on the spot over allegations of withholding the body of Titus Gatuhu Kaburu Theuri, who passed away on October 24th, 2024. Over unpaid bills. You can also check that and read of that story. We also have a briefly we also see school head rails at clan-based school. Now, a school principal in Kisii County has appealed to the community members to shun constructing clan-based secondary school, saying it is affecting enrollment and quality of education. You can check that story by Robert Oshoro. You can also check that and read much of that story more comprehensively. I will get back later on the People editorial cartoon and the quotes of the day. Meanwhile, let us move with speed. New police spokesperson named in major reshuffle. That is on page 14. Former spokesperson Resila Onyango promoted to head of diplomatic police unit, while Adamson Bungei moves to headquarters. You can also check that story by Zadok Angira. Now, National Police Service spokesperson Resila Onyango has been appointed commandant of the diplomatic police unit in charge of let me take on that. National Police Service. The National Police Service spokesperson Resila Onyango has been appointed commandant of the diplomatic police unit in changes made yesterday by Inspector General Douglas Kanja. You can also read that story more comprehensively. Moving on to Osengishu steps up surveillance to mop out criminal. The county government of Osengishu has stepped up operations to raid Eldoret city of criminals who have been terrorizing the residents. You can also check on that story. And moving very fast on down there, we see vandalism slowing dump project 1CS. A story from Kenya News Agency. Now, residents of West Pokot have been cautioned against vandalizing the infrastructure at Soy Murang Dam. Now, you can also grab a copy of the People Daily newspaper and read much of that story more comprehensively. We move on to page 14 and we move on to page 14. Now, as we move on to the next page, I just want to remind you that, remember, People Daily newspaper is a free newspaper. Just move to your nearest and closest vendor and pick your copy and read much of that story more comprehensively. And as you do that, remember, we only give you brief of what is in the People Daily newspaper, and you grab a copy and read more comprehensively. Using nature-based solutions in climate change adaptation. Now, NBS depend on existing ecosystem in action that helps with disaster risk reduction, biodiversity, and loss and human health. You can also check that story on page 16 and read more comprehensively. We are moving with speed. We are moving with speed on to the next page. That is, we take on Business Hub, People Daily Business Hub. Treasury gets 48.5 billion shillings in bond auction, eyes more. You can also grab a copy and read that. Funds raised from market will primarily be allocated to redeem existing bond in a strategy aimed at the elevating the government's debt burden. A story by Noel Wandera. Please grab and read that. Agra, that is AGR, invest 387 million Kenyan shillings to boost Kenya food security. You can also check that story by Victor Mukabi. The country's effort to achieve food security have received a major boost following 3 million 3 years investment seed to be African Social Enterprise Alliance Green Renovation. You can also check that story and read much of that story more comprehensively. Still on business matters, moving here to Migori County, where we see how Sony Sugar has cut losses in litigation costs. And we see audit allowed Miller to drastically reduce the number of cases filed in law court over the last 10 years from 3,500 to less than 1,000. A story by Kefas Otieno. Sony Sugar Company has drastically reduced the number of cases filed in law courts over the last 10 years from 3,500 to less than 1,000, saving the Miller millions of shillings. The managing director, Martin Dima, said they spearheaded systematic audit due to suspicion of foul play among some lawyers for the plaintiff. You can also check that. I think that is a reprieve also for Sony Sugar here in Migori County. Check out and read that more comprehensively. We see US sues Southwest Airline for its chaotic delay, seek over 2.1 million in civilian penalties. You can also read that story from New York on matters of business. We move to Kisumu. Now we also move to Kisumu. Nyong'o flags of bikes to enhance agricultural extension services. Story by Kefas Otieno. Kisumu County is taking significant strides to elevate agricultural productivity by enhancing its agricultural extension services. Now yesterday, Governor Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, alongside County Commissioner Benson Laporijo, launched and distributed 26 motorcycles under National Agricultural Value Chain Development. You can also check that story and read more comprehensively of what is in that paper. Germany's economy shrunk, political plan to revive it. You can also check that. Why TikTok CEO plan to attend Trump inauguration. You can also read that story. The chief executive of TikTok plans to attend President-elect Donald Trump inauguration and has been invited to sit in a position of honor on the dais, where former president, family members, and other important guests traditionally are seated. Two people familiar with the plans said on Wednesday. You can also read that and much more. And we move to page 30, where we see Lee Kinyanjui vision for the manufacturing sector. Just the Lee Kinyanjui was vetted by the parliamentarians on the position as a nominee by the President William Ruto. Now, with energy reforms and trade protection, will Kenya's manufacturing sector might financially see breakthrough? A story by Victor Mukabi. The manufacturing sector in Kenya currently contributing to 7.8% to the gross domestic product, according to the 2024 economic survey. Now that is where we see Lee Kinyanjui is going to fix there to see what is going to bring on the table. Now on to world news. Chief was sworn in amid opposition demos in Maputo. We also realized that Deputy President Kithure Kindiki had gone to the Mozambique towards the swearing in of Chief Chapo. Now, 5th President of Mozambique takes oath of office in a low-key ceremony in the nation's capital following a disputed election that sparked violent protest. You can also read that story from Maputo. Read that story, grab a copy and read more comprehensively. And also we see Donald Trump plans to save TikTok from US ban. You also get to read that. World news, where world welcome truce as Israel and Hamas hobnob. You can also grab a copy and read much of that story. And we jump onto matters of sports. For the lovers of sport, karaoke back with a bang. Now that's on stories on matters of golf. You can also grab a copy and read that and much more comprehensively. Now, as we take on sports, allow me to take this opportunity once again to remind you that you can also follow us on YouTube, that is BTV Kenya, and also on Facebook page Blackman TV. Now, at the back of the newspaper, we see Barcelona in a race for Rashford. That's a story that's on there. English star agent hold a crunch talks with the Manchester United as the Spanish giant steps up their transfer plans. Now we see Marcus Rashford representatives held a meeting with Manchester United on Wednesday to elevate all the transfer options available to him, a report has claimed. Now that will be a move that will see Rashford rejuvenate his football career. We are not stupid. Phil Foden concedes Manchester City's title defense is over. You can also read now. Phil Foden believes that Manchester City defense of the Premier League title is over after their late capitulation against Brentford on Tuesday. You can also grab a copy and read much of that story as we see United States' next opponent, Venezuela. That is where sport and politics intertwine. As Venezuela gleefully navigated their way towards 2024 Cup American quarterfinals in the United States, playing attacking and fearless football, the players of South America homeland was bubbling with tension amid heightened political turmoil. You can also check that and read more comprehensively of that story. We move on to page 38. Epic Villarreal and Mallorca clash. You can also check that. And also we see Dortmund in crisis. Shaheen faces decisive test against Frankfurt. You can also check that story on Dortmund. And we also see Kenya faces tough test in Chan group of death. Harambee Stars is going to face a group of death. Now we see FKF Vice President and former international midfielder Mariga maintains facing big team will motivate Stars performance at the Continental Fiesta. A story by Vincent Voyo. Harambee Stars' path to glory at the African Championship just got a lot tougher after being drawn into a group of death alongside two-time champions Morocco, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Zambia. You can also grab a copy and read much of that story. And moving on to page 36, Coastal Hockey Queen needs a miracle. Now we see for the first time a team from Coast has a shot at African glory, but financial woes looms large with only 600,000 Kenya shillings raised so far out of 6.3 million shillings needed. You can also read that and more comprehensively. Onyala joins Shujaa for high-stake tournaments. That's on matters of rugby. Please grab a copy and read much and more of that story. Like I said earlier, let me move back and give you of what is in the People Daily editorial. That's on the quote of the day and also on the cartoon of the day, which is there on the next page. That is on page 10. Jump with me to page 10. Quote of the day. This one is from let me take this one from Kikuyu MP Kimani Ichung'wah. Play to the gallery and continue position Kenyans against MPs. These MPs work and they have a lot of work that they do. That is from Kimani Ichung'wah. I'm also going to take this one from Uasin Gishu Governor Jonathan B. I will deal personally with any of the enforcement officers who will be found guilty of frustrating the traders and taking bribes from them. All law-abiding traders deserve work in a conducive environment. And lastly, from Kisii politician Rachel Otundo, you cannot tell Kenyans that you want to be their president when your community is divided. You cannot succeed. That is like chasing a wind. I hope that is not directed to Matiang'i. You can also check on that. Now let us look at the cartoon of the day. We see the big media camera and Justin Muturi saying, "Fire me," after spilling the bean of abductions. You can also check that and try to find out what is it that is in that cartoon. As we take on the thought of the day, if we only wanted to be happy, it would be easy. But we want to be happier than other people. And that is almost always difficult since we think them happier than they are. You can also check that from Montesic. You can also check that quote of that thought of the day. Now that is what brings us to the end of this vibrant morning. That is review on the People Daily newspaper. Now before I leave this place, allow me to help you understand and bring more light to what we do in BTV. Now BTV brings you what's happening in the Republic of Kenya and beyond. That is news on what's happening in Kenya and in all the counties of Kenya. And we also give you a range of services that is ranging from videography, photography. We also do online live streaming services. We also do video coverage in case you have an event, you have a wedding, you want to go live. We will be there to provide for you live services. Remember to reach out to us. At BTV, we also provide services such as t-shirt and general printing and branding from our other constant company, that is Blackman Digitech, Graphic Digitech. We also provide you with services such as branding, printing, that is general printing, and some other printing services. You can reach out to us for your advertising services and we'll give you the best. Remember, BTV, your home live TV. Keep tuned to BTV as we wait to give you, as I usher in the next program that's coming after me. Thank you so much for keeping tuned to BTV. I'm